You want me to share why what position we're in, or we leave that to the?
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. Okay, Sam, tell us why. Tell us, describe the room that we're in right now.
Well, currently we are in my living room. Normally we are in the garage, but we're in the living room because I guess a collection of things. One, my camera was stolen about a month and a half ago. Still haven't got that replaced. So here we are, just audio. And then the second reason we're in the house and not the garage is, besides it being hot in summer, I'm currently laying on my back. Just having more awesome like back, hip, something problems. For those who don't know, I had a surgery a year ago on the 1st of June. So it's been a year ago and 15 days. But I had a double total disc replacement. So I had 2 discs completely replaced. They did a 7-inch incision in my stomach below my belly button and opened up my guts. Went in, got the discs out, put in new discs, and then sewed me back up and then sent me home the next morning. So anyways, it's been a year. I've had a great recovery, and then something happened in the last 3 months, and I don't know what it is. And I don't know that it's my back for sure, because I've done x-rays and MRIs and that's looking great. But some other issues have, like in my hip. So anyways, sitting is not great. So I am avoiding sitting as much as I can. So I'm laying on the floor.
Does it feel good on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Great.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is like just the muscles that get locked up in a position while sitting for a long time. Like that is one of the problems.
Yeah.
So anyways, here I am just on the floor in my living room. Tyler's sitting like a normal human being in a podcast. And yeah, that's the update.
Good. Well, I appreciate the update, man, and I'm sorry to hear about your back. For those of you listening, like hopefully the audio still comes fresh and clean. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, as far as video, as soon as the insurance does their thing. But in the meantime, I want to continue to talk about the stuff that we're seeing and making. I want to switch gears a little bit because, like, for those of you that follow the podcast on Spotify, Patreon, YouTube, all of our different channels, like we kind of like with my travel schedule and Sam's work schedule, sometimes we do these things when it fits into like our crazy schedules, and so our release schedule has been non-interrupted for a long time. But for those that don't know behind the scenes, like we took maybe like a month and a half.
Like I think 2 months.
Yeah, as far as like recording.
Maybe 2.5 months actually.
Yeah. I think the last one we recorded was probably Steve's, right? Steve's interview?
No, we did like one after that. I think we did Mickey 17 after that.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So for those of you listening, like sometimes the time that these are released are not the times that we record, because Sam has been creating stuff. And so you guys might not have noticed we guys haven't, because obviously like we keep recording and kicking out content all the time. But for those of you that don't know, Sam was on a project recently that took up probably most of your time for those 2 months. And when Sam gets into a project, like he goes, I don't know, would you call it dark?
Yeah, for sure. I go total dark.
Because I compare him to LeBron James. Like LeBron, when he used to make the playoffs with some consistency and actually compete in the playoffs, he would do this thing on social media called 0 Dark 30, where he would send a message on Twitter, 0 Dark 30, and you wouldn't hear from him in text, phone call, tweets, Instagram, nothing until the end of June. Sam does something similar when he goes into like a project he's working on. It's 0 Dark 30, the Sam Sargent version. where you can't get a hold of them via phone call, you can't get a hold of them via text, you just shoot your shot and you hope for the best whenever it comes around. But because you're working on a project, you want to tell us about what you've been working on?
Totally, for sure. And um, Tyler's 100% right on that. I do go dark, and it's just how I function. Like it's part of my ADD. Of like when I get so locked into something, that's it, and the rest of my life suffers for that, for better or worse. But it's how I lock in and like do my thing, and I do a pretty good job at that. So I guess it's worth it. But yeah, I mean, I had a TV show, a new TV show that we have been filming, and we had a little bit of prep in April. I did not have so much prep in April because I came on to this show very last, which is not often or regular. But as a cinematographer, I came on very last minute, and I was on commercials. So I was doing commercials a ton in April, just like back to back. And then I also had that TV pilot stint thing in Nashville that I went and did. So it was very busy. And then we started shooting this TV show in the month of May. Doesn't have a title yet. It's a working title, and but it's a period piece set in the 1800s, and follows a few characters. It was originally one main character, and as we began filming and the chemistry on screen between actors and this group of people, it was like we have to expand this. So it's getting bigger, just because of how good everyone on screen was together. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty massive undertaking. 67 cast members. 67 cast members. We pretty much shot the whole month of May, and all on location. And we have a little bit of a break because they're currently building sets in Virginia that we're going to go and film in July. So we have a little bit of time before that, but even more materials being written now to go into July to kind of flesh out some of these characters. But yeah, super independent production. Not it's not done by any big studio, but hopefully when it's all done, it will be picked up by some streaming platform. And right now it's 6 episodes, but there's a chance it's going to be more. That also depends on if we can get more money. So this project was super low budget. I think $500,000 for what we were doing. We're shooting 15 pages a day usually, which is insane. 15 pages a day. Like one page on screen typically, like one page on paper typically translates to around 1 minute on screen, give or take. Obviously, that depending on what's happening changes. So, uh, you know, studio films will shoot like 1 page a day. Sometimes they'll shoot 2 to 3 pages a day. If they're really cooking, they'll shoot like 5 pages a day. But they don't typically shoot more than that. And then a lot of independent productions like shoot 10 pages a day because it's madness. And then we shot 15 pages a day for 18 days. So that was insane. But it all worked, which was nuts.
That's cool.
So, man, a lot. Ugh. And it just felt like it went by in the blink of an eye. I don't know what happened to the month of May. I genuinely don't.
So here's my question: Is it just like the amount of work that you have to do that makes you go like 0 dark 30, or is it like just part of your process? Do you have to like film and then take it back to your hotel room and like edit, or back to your home, or is it just so you can focus on the task at hand?
Yeah.
Like
So
what explain the process of Sam Sargent when it comes to like filming a project and then going zero dark.
so like for this, we had about 300 ish, and there's more now, but about 300 pages that we were filming. And this is a period piece, right? So everything has to feel period, 1800s, right? So there's so many departments: hair and makeup, wardrobe, locations, all of that I am working directly with as a cinematographer to like bring it to life. So I'm having conversations and planning and prep with all of them and trying to get everything ready to make sure it's going to look good on camera, it's going to sell. I'm doing camera tests before we're shooting to make sure we have everything that we need, the look that we're trying to get. You know, there's all of those things to it. But then, literally, my schedule was I am leaving between 6:30 and 7 a.m. every day, and I'm getting home between 10:30 and 11 p.m. Every night. And and from 7 a.m. until 11:30 p.m. I am slammed. Like the minute I get on set, it's answering questions, and it's okay. This scene, this scene. We have 15 pages, so we have to start right away, and then it's just until we go, and then we finish. Right, we were shooting 12-hour days, but then I also have to go and do dailies, which dailies is I'm looking at what we just filmed with the director and the producers and checking everything that we just did. How's it looking? What's working? What's not working? What adjustments do we have to make tomorrow? Um, do all of that process. So there's just so many ways that I'm stretched thin, and honestly, like on any given day, on any given day on set, I'm probably asked, no joke, 10,000 questions.
So by the time you probably get home, you're probably just so spent, like mentally.
Oh yeah,
Just like I can't open up my phone to just burn
yeah.
thoughts anymore. Just gotta go to bed.
It's like I hit my word count, I hit my thought count, I hit my speak count, and it's like that's it. And I have to go to bed to get some sleep to do it like first thing in the morning, right? There is no downtime, not for a cinematographer, not on a project like this.
And it sounds like there's nothing you can do. Like for me, like when I'm slammed with like questions or texts or phone calls or whatever, I always try to knock them out when I'm doing something else that's productive, like cooking or walking on the treadmill or jogging or whatever. Just or even like driving, going to the bathroom, whatever. And for you, like it sounds like there's no even like spare time to do something else that's productive where you could maybe multitask. It's just you're so slammed. Questions, filming, editing. Like there's no time to even come out of that zero dark 30 you go into if you wanted to.
No, not when I'm shooting. And also, so for example, like the cinematographer runs like the camera department, like they oversee the camera department, the grip department, and the electric department. And so the electric department has the gaffer, and the gaffer has electricians, and they do all the lighting. The grip department does like camera support, they do lighting support, they kind of create shadows, they do camera safety rigging, they rig safety for lights. And so there's a key grip, there's a best boy, best girl, and then there's grips. And then the camera department has the first AC has camera operators, second AC is assistant camera, and then DIT if there's a camera trainee or a PA. And so I'm overseeing all of those people and making sure they have all of the information that they need, that they're all getting along with each other, and uh, that everything is running smoothly, right? So there's so much management that's involved as a cinematographer that people don't really think about. They just think, oh, you make pretty images, and it's like, nah, it's maybe 10 to 15% of my day. Everything else, it's I'm managing so many things. I'm managing with the first assistant director who's managing the schedule. I'm managing the director's wants and what they want, what they need, how they're going to do it. I'm also working with the actors very closely and making sure that they're feeling like they're taken care of on screen. And some are more sensitive than others. So I mean, I I am like a therapist in a way on set to so many different, and also, yeah, like talking to wardrobe and hair and making sure that's all squared away, and it's like communicating, okay, what's next, all right, let's go prep for this, we're doing this now, but we have to go do this next, we're shooting exterior, so I just need these few things, and then I have to send you guys to go pre-light the rest of this because we also had like limited number of crew. So it is a miracle movies get made. And so anyways, when I get in that mode, especially on this level of production, um like that's it. That's all I have room for, and I barely even have room for that. And I have a headset on my left ear, I have a walkie in my right ear, and then I have voices all around me. Just Sam, hey Sam, hey Sam, hey Sam. Can I get? What about this? What lens are we going to use? What scene is happening here? Did they have that in that scene that last time? It's like, how many shots are we getting here? How much time do you need to set this up? How much time do we need to set up next scene? By the way, while you're doing this scene, can we talk about tomorrow? Like that is the madness. So yeah, I just shut off everything else.
Do you ever snap at people like on set, or is it like
Um,
you don't talk about like this set specifically, but like if that happened to me, maybe your patience is way better than mine. But if that happened to me for 15 hours a day for a month, I think I'd probably snap. Probably day three, just you start to become less of yourself. And I'm just wondering if that's ever happened, or if
oh
it,
man.
or how do you catch it, or
Yeah. So like, I am a human, and I have lost my shit. Uh, there's really only been one time that I've lost my shit that I've really been ashamed of myself for, and it wasn't in a massive group of people, but it was within a group of people. Um, anyways, that that does happen. I don't I don't agree with that, right? Everyone's working hard, everyone's stressed. It doesn't it doesn't help to then like freak freak out,
yeah,
because then that makes it worse. It unfortunately that happens a lot, and a lot of people get treated very poorly. I I it's happened to me once, in a smaller group setting, but like I just don't I get frustrated, but I'm apparently able to handle my stress well on set based on people's comments and conversations and this and just viewing. I get asked that a lot, like, how do you stay so calm? And inside I'm like,
alcohol.
I don't feel calm. But apparently I'm creating a calmness, and I don't know if it's just because I've put myself in a lot of stressful situations, like a lot, and I've just built a tolerance. Um, I've been in a lot of stress probably my whole life, so it just is like it is what it is, right? There are times when it gets too much where I just have to. I will get sharp, like I will get very curt and just be very direct and blunt and matter of fact and move on. Um, and I guess and I don't do that super often, but when I do that, it's enough of a change where someone goes, "Oh,
Yep.
understood."
Message received.
Um, but that's a real thing. Like stress management is a real thing on film sets, and that's why you hear all these stories of like
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise freaking out or Christian Bale freaking out,
Yeah.
right? Like, and there's so many that don't get shared.
Yeah.
But and it's like, and it's me. I'm also like managing that and watching that with my crew and going, okay, who is gonna lose their shit right now, and how can I help prevent that? Because the one of my set philosophies is I want everybody to be happy while
Yeah.
we're there. Um, if we're not having a good time, this job is too stressful. Like we shouldn't be doing this. Uh, you know, so there's a lot of things that go into play. Um, but like as crazy and wild as this shoot was, because we had guns, we had fire, we had water, underwater, we had like of all of these things, like there was just so much, and we had such like at least from my perspective a pleasant set. There were a few folks that were getting after each other, and you know there's all those things, but yeah, man, you just have to find a way to be in the eye of the storm because the storm's happening around you, and if you can be in the eye of the storm and sit in that calmness while it's just hell and fire is just whipping around you, like that's the best place that you can be. um, and it like keeps you level headed because then you can see everything that's happening. But like communication is important. Communication is That's the biggest problem is lack of communication. So as long as you can keep your communication up in a very efficient and clear manner, then it's so much easier to manage.
Got it.
So I don't know if that answered any
Yes, yeah,
question.
yeah. That's the update. That's the update of the month of May.
So so yeah. Anyways, so we were shooting two cameras. I was operating, and I had another operator, and then we had two ACs, and we had a second AC. We had a gaffer and a key grip, and then we had a swing on a couple days. But other than that, it was just those two, which is nuts. And yeah, man, we were cooking. We were cooking. So good experience overall. But I mean, it genuinely like went in the blink of an eye for me. I remember waking up June 1st, going, "Holy shit, it's June."
Yeah. Yeah, this year's going by fast, man. This will in fact, this episode is scheduled for release this Sunday. We're recording this on a Monday, coming out Sunday. I think this will be episode number 17.
17.
Yeah, I think so. Locked Off Logic podcast. Yeah, episode number 17.
Wow.
Yeah, and so just for you, like, just I guess for you, I was gonna give you this update at lunch, but I can give it to you now on the podcast too. Is that currently, I think we have 57 subscribers on Spotify. Our podcasts have been streamed. Um, what was it? 123 hours on Spotify. On YouTube, we have 25,000 views between our videos and our shorts. We have what was the other thing I was going to tell you? 25,000. Oh, we have a combined watching hour of our videos of around 270 hours on YouTube. We have between our social medias, we have a Facebook now too. Between our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, we have around 1,000 followers, and I think that's it. I think that's all updates I had for you.
Dang.
So we're growing, man. We're doing well. People very engaged that you are a filmmaker. We're doing hopefully a collab with another podcast that was really interested in your experience as a filmmaker in August. And yeah, I'm thankful to be on this ride, and I'm thankful for our listeners that listen and learn and comment, and we do get some haters every once in a while. We do get some haters where we had this episode we put out last week of the cinema moments, and oh, it got some good discussion going of what constitutes a good cinema moment, what's a good moment in a bad movie, or a bad movie with a good moment, and but yeah, whether you're a hater or a lover, we're this is a safe place for you whether you hate us or love us. So
Dude,
hope you stay.
Dude, and this shit's just subjective.
Yeah,
Art,
all art is subjective.
Art is subjective, and obviously we all have our own opinions, right? But at the end of the day, it's like it's subjective, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
you could be wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Like, we all could be wrong. It's art, you know. Like there isn't a universally. I think you look on RottenTomatoes.com. There's no 100% critics, 100% audience. Nowhere. There's nothing that everybody universally agrees is amazing. And that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it just relate to different people, and people can comment on different things. They can like it or hate it, or like we posted a Goodwill Hunting clip, and people were like, "Oh, this movie is trash." People were like, "Oh, this is the greatest movie of all time." It's like, well, then talk about it. Like, come to some kind of understanding. Talk with human beings, and if you like it, great. If you don't like it, great. Like, just talk and discuss, and especially when art becomes political too. That's where I think people get really. Because Andor, there's a discussion on Andor this last week of just what it means to live in the moment, watch Andor, and then live in our current moment. And art just has a funny way of just reflecting, what we're living in a way that makes sense. But anyway, that's the update, and we're happy to have all of our 1,000 followers, our 25,000 streamers, or whatever it is. Happy to be along for the ride.
Totally, man. Totally. Well, and like, I'm just here again. I love everyone. But I'll say what I started out when I said, right? Like, I'm just doing this for me.
Yep. On your back.
On my back, just chilling. Chilling, talking about, people who are wrong.
Well, speaking of people who are right, I don't know if I know a bigger Keanu Reeves fan than you.
Dude, right? I do love me Keanu.
I know, and I don't know how, we've gone to movies forever for the last decade, and how's it recording? Are we doing okay?
Yep.
Good. We've gone to movies together for the last decade. We've seen some great ones. We've seen some stinkers. I don't know how the ship of John Wick at least passed me by.
I know.
To where we never have gone and seen a John Wick movie, and the movie, at least together. And the movie that we're talking about today is my first John Wick movie in the theater, and it's Ballerina. This is the first time I've seen a John Wick movie inside the theater, and it's Ballerina.
Which blows my mind.
Yeah, isn't that sad?
Because John Wick truly was a theatrical experience.
Which one? All of them?
All of them. Now, I will say I did not see John Wick 1 in theaters. I didn't even know about it. I saw it when it was streaming because someone was like, "Oh, what's this? Maybe we should watch that." So I saw it absolutely knowing nothing about it. And that was an experience. But I had a pretty good sound system, and the TV was not amazing, but it was fine. But then going from that to the John Wick 2, John Wick 3, John Wick 4 in the theater, those were movie experiences. Those were like the experiences where you had the visceral reaction of audience members rivaled to the scene in Endgame when all of the Avengers come out and everyone loses their shit. Like, that was like John Wick when he was messing people up, which is a little concerning actually as a society, because you're like, this guy is literally just killing people in incredibly creative ways, and people are cheering. it's like it was like I was in the Coliseum, watching gladiators do their thing. So I guess that's just a human thing. We tend to like to watch that, which is kind of interesting. It's a little concerning, uh, but I guess it's been that way since the beginning, more or less. Anyways, I digress. But Ballerina was your first experience at the theater, and it was an empty theater, so you didn't really get to experience people, which is also kind of nice too,
Yeah,
because
I really like the MD. Like I can appreciate like I used to try to go to movies to avoid the crowds,
yeah,
like intentionally. Like Spider-Man No Way Home, I was like, I gotta see this at like 9 o'clock in the morning. The first time I actually appreciated like having, because like I never understood why people clapped at the end of the movie. I was like, why the hell are you clapping? Nobody who made this movie is here. Why are you clapping? No one's gonna hear this applause. If you watch a movie like Ballerina and you feel the need to applause at the end, and for some reason like J.J. Abrams shows up at the end, don't applaud him. He didn't make this movie. Why are you applauding him? I never understood the like that appeal of like the crowds and the clapping until I saw Sweet Molly. Because in Sweet Molly, I was a part of a screening where the people that actually made the film were there, and so seeing your reaction to their reaction, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Like this type of reaction makes sense, right? That's the only time I could think of like the bigger the crowd, the better. Is if I could go to a movie with someone that actually made the movie, like you or JC or something like that. And Ballerina, I'm glad that I saw it when it was an empty theater. I think it's I, I'm glad it came out like during that weird weekend where like How to Train Your Dragon came out, and so a lot of people were going to see that movie. Because I really like just like I love that people go see movies. I want movies to continue. I want cinemas to make money, but sometimes like we talked about on the podcast, people just forget how to act like normal human beings that aren't in their living room in movies. And I'm glad I could. At least this movie was semi-empty because you can get into the story, you can understand the character, and you almost have to a little bit more because I was writing down some notes. There isn't a whole lot of dialogue in this movie. Like this, the movie is the story is told via action. This is a very action-packed movie and very little dialogue that's past like the second or third act. In fact, the most meaningful conversation I thought was had in this movie was actually with John Wick. This is my first experience with John Wick in the theater too, to where when he confronts Ballerina at the end, and he's like, this girl slaughters, I don't know, 200 people throughout this movie, and when she's fighting John Wick, it is clear that she is out of her depth. Like he takes her down, and it's like no sweat for him, right? But they're having like a conversation while they're fighting, which I thought was the best conversation in the movie, where it's the John Wick theme. It's beautifully shot. They're fighting in the snow. They are it's an action packed scene. He's also letting her know that he can overpower her fairly easily, and why he's there is to take her out. But he understands where she's coming from, and he's gonna give her another 20 minutes to fulfill what she came for. And I like that, and I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that same reaction if I had like a theater full of people that were cheering as John Wick takes out Ballerina. Does that make sense?
right, right. When I'm looking up just to see what the body count on Ballerina was,
Ballerina was.
because I because you didn't watch them when they came out. There was always like an infographic on how many people were killed and how they were killed.
Hmm.
And I wish I would have. I wish I would have looked this up. Like I guess originally, I guess the movie was like 3 hours and 45 minutes, and there was like a 1,400 body count.
Oh
That
gosh.
significantly got reduced. It's a 2 hour and 5 minute movie runtime, and certainly not 1,400. But uh,
Which I thought was great for the story it was telling was 2 hours. I thought was a perfect time.
I don't know. I guess maybe I don't know how many. I don't know how many, but there's
It's a lot.
a lot. And then John Wick himself includes some of those. But how many she takes out? It's certainly not as much as previous John Wicks.
Yeah.
Um,
her body count is at least over 50, right? In this movie, at least over 100, I would think. She's probably killed 200, 100, at least 100 people in this movie. She's clearly one of the most dangerous people on the planet, and John Wick like subdues her in a matter of like 45 seconds. Like you see, because like I would say I'm coming in the John Wick story a little bit late, but like when he comes into like this Russian school of like kids, obviously there's some kind of reverence about him. And the guy has 4 movies now. You'd assume that at some point he's got some kind of clout and some kind of reverence. But one thing is with the Russian school. This is the second
The
movie,
Ruska Roma.
the Rusko Roma. Okay, it reminds me of the Red Room from Black Widow, where I'm like, is there truth to some of this? This is the second movie in a row, 2 weeks in a row. Thunderbolts, Ballerina, where one of the main characters was trained to be an assassin as a little girl inside of a Russian school that also teaches you how to dance. I'm just like, is there some truth to this? Because we're back to back weeks where this is kind of being discussed as like a thing. And I think I'm a believer like this. It's got to evolve from something. I really do think somewhere in Moscow or in Siberia or somewhere there is some kind of school that's training these females to be assassins. Because this is 2 weeks in a row we've gotten 2 Russian assassins that were taken as children and then trained to be killers.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Not for a second.
No, I mean this world is fucked.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that exists somewhere.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's probably been done.
Oh yeah, it's probably happening even currently. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the States was doing something like this too. I mean, there's nothing more disarming than like a little girl, and then you find out that she's been trained as an assassin and she can kill you with rubber bullets. I thought that scene was cool. One thing I liked about this movie, it was beautiful, like beautifully shot. Like some of like the like I'm a sucker for snow. The fight scene in Austria I thought was amazing. I've been to that lake in Austria. Love to see it with snow. The flamethrower fight, how it was up in the air, and like I've always heard from the John Wick movies that there's a lot of neon, and the neon scene where she goes to like the hotel and she meets with um, the guy and his daughter, the guy from The Walking Dead, Norman Reedus,
Uh huh.
his character. Like that whole scene, the ambiance with the neon, the darkness, the rain, just the whole thing was just so beautifully shot to where you're watching it, the movie, and there's not a whole lot of dialogue. There's a whole lot of action, but just like the beauty and the serenity of just how it was shot and some different scenes of how they looked, I thought was just really, really impressive.
Well, and that's what has defined John Wick for so long. So the first John Wick was it was co-directed. Chad Stahelski and I forget his name, Derek Kolstad, I think. I guess I could look that up. But it was shot by cinematographer Jonathan Sella. Now Chad and John went and did Deadpool. I'm sorry, Chad, not Chad. Chad stayed and did John Wick. But let me just look this up. John Wick director. So credits, at least on IMDb, it's Chad Stahelski, but also there was one more. Um, it's not listed. Oh, okay. Writer Derek Kolstad. I believe he also kind of co-directed it. I'm pretty sure. Um, maybe not. Anyways, I digress. But John Cella went and did Deadpool and another direction, but he established kind of like a visual language. But then Chad came back with John Wick 2 and brought in cinematographer Dan Laustin. Dan Laustin is like one of my favorite cinematographers of all time. He's done almost all of Guillermo del Toro's stuff, Shape of Water, and then John Wick 2, 3, and 4. Now he didn't do Ballerina, um, but Dan has such a way of creating a visual language for a film with the cinematography, and I really think that it excelled, you know, John Wick 2 and then 3 and then 4, and Ballerina now has very similar. visual language. It looks very similar, but it is also very different than the past. But that is one of the things that I love about John Wick is they built a world and they created the rules of this world, and it all feels natural, even though it's extremely, extremely stylized, like crazily stylized. But they just established it as here's how this world looks, feels, operates, and then it just feels so true. Anyways, they did a good job in maintaining that in Ballerina. I think that they had some reshoots and some other issues that they had to bring it back to that. Um, but it did feel like from the world of John Wick, which is why they called it that. You know,
What if they did that for marketing too? Where I heard listen to this podcast where it talked about the marketing behind the movie of the world of John Wick, where back in the day when the old DC was running, they had this movie. It was actually a pretty good movie called Birds of Prey. You hear about this?
I well, I know the name is familiar.
Yeah, it's Harley Quinn. She's in it. The girl that played Barbie, I forget her name off the top of my head. Um, he was the lead.
Margot Robbie.
Yes,
How
Ewan
could you
McGregor was
forget
the
Margot
villain. He was
Robbie?
blackface. It had some good cash, but they called it
Birds of Prey.
yes, and it no one went inside because no one knew what it was because it's a pretty obscure like team of like heroes like in the DC comic books, and so like halfway through the theatrical release they changed the title to Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, to where people were like, "Oh, Harley Quinn! I remember her from the Suicide Squad movie or the Joker movie or whatever. I know who that is." And I don't know if it helped at that point because you're 2 weeks into like the story. But I wonder if like because the title is from the world of John Wick Ballerina, I wonder if they had done that to bring more people into the theater to watch it.
I'm sure. I'm sure it was all part of marketing to do that. 100%.
And there's a timeline, and we need to do an episode on the John Wicks, but I believe this happens during the third one, Parabellum.
No, so this happens. So in the Ruska Roma, the school, the ballerina school, there's that moment where John Wick is walking through,
Yeah.
right? And then he gets branded. So that's number two. That happens in John Wick 2.
Okay.
So ballerina starts right around John Wick 2, and then ballerina continues, and there's some time that goes on, and it doesn't say exactly how much, but it's like 2 to 3 months. And there's a scene you probably didn't know this, and it's going to be it's a bit of a spoiler for you if I talk about it. But there was a thing that I saw in Ballerina where I was confused at the timeline, and then I saw this and I went, "Oh,
Hmm.
so this for sure happened after this." Do you want me to say it?
Yeah, say it. Yeah, yeah.
So there's he has his finger cut off.
Okay.
So in the end of, I believe it's the end of 3, he gets his finger cut off.
That's not a crazy spoiler.
That's not a great no, it's not. But it's part of the storyline. So and there's a reason he does it, and it's who does it.
First, I take his dog, then they take his finger.
So his finger is taken, and that is at the end of John Wick 3. And then uh, I'm pretty sure you can fact check me, but pretty sure end of Parabellum, and then we have John Wick 4, where he continues to hunt down the high table, seats at the high table. So Ballerina takes place between 2 and 4.
Got it.
And at first I was confused because I thought it happened after uh, episode 4, or not episode, film 4. And I was like, that can't possibly work if the series events that happened actually happened. But I think when I recognize that, I think it fits within that, so it doesn't happen right at 4. I think it happens right after 3, which is, I think, continuing on in the consequences that John faces in 4. Because there's that line when he's like, if it's not done by midnight, she's like, rules. And he goes, and consequences. And then at the end, he's like, it's done. And uh, the, I forget her character's name, but she runs the Roma. She's like, he's, she's dead then? And he goes, he's dead. And then she goes, fine. And, and hangs up, right? And it's all part of this rules and consequences where now a war has started. Uh, anyways, you need to see
Okay.
you
Okay.
need to see the rest of John Wick because the layers of it are just so deep and so well thought out. But I feel like Ballerina did a good job in like taking the spin off of part of the story in the world and then making a standalone film that I actually had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, I did have a lot of fun. Probably not the greatest movie of all time, but I had a lot of fun with it. And I liked like the way the movie felt too. Like the action, I thought was great, which I've always heard that John Wick films are really good with their action. Because like I I love female empowerment. I really do. You know, I base my life on it. But in a physical confrontation, not many women are going to take out a grown man. And so when you see some of these movies where like someone like Harley Quinn is just taking out like 5 military people, I'm just like, that's not realistic. But the way they trained her was like, because she's like when she's getting trained, she's getting her ass beat,
Yeah.
and she was like, well, I can't beat this guy; he's too strong. And she's the lady training her. She's like, they're all going to be too strong for you. You are at a disadvantage because you're a female. How you win? You scrap and you cheat. And she scraps and she cheats.
You make the rules.
Yes, and she does that. She makes the rules and she scraps and she cheats the whole movie. Like there's some points where like she's getting her butt kicked, and then she gets like a good shot in the nuts, or she finds a nice axe, or she steals a gun. And it's like that's realistic of like as a female assassin where you're at a physical disadvantage in almost every single fight. That is how you win. That's how you survive. And so I really like that they incorporated that into the movie because it made a whole lot of the action make sense of where she's taking some shots to the balls, which it's against the rules in a fight, but when you're a female in that kind of world, like you do what you need to do to survive, which I like that they incorporate that in her training from the very beginning.
Yeah, change the terms. Um, yeah, I just love the world of John Wick. I really do. It's one of my favorite cinematic universes ever. And there was a lot of things that I really enjoyed about Ballerina, but um, yeah, part of it's just the continued world building of like there's still an order to things, and you can either like follow or you can change the order or you can not follow, and there's consequences to both positive and negative, and when you understand those and you live your life according to that, and that could be any set of rules that any of us live in our own lives, right? but they are there to exist to function in uh, a high standard level of performance. And anyways, the way that the world of John Wick does it, I just think it's so great. And I couldn't remember for the life of me, like there's the lady that's training her at the beginning, and I'm like, where is she from? Where is she from? Where is she from? And I think I just realized it. She's in Dune. She is.
Yeah.
She's kind of also the trainee, the trainer in Dune One. That when she's giving the still suit to Paul Atreides, um, and he knows how to use it. Anyways, it's that girl, and I'm like, oh, that's such a great role for her. Like,
Yeah.
just this awesome kind of matriarch ass kicker,
Yeah.
you know. So
I was gonna ask you about Dune too, because I'll change the subject a little bit. Did you see that they cast Robert Pattinson as the villain in Dune?
I have not.
In Dune 3, yeah, they casted Robert Pattinson as some kind of villain. I'm just like, oh, Sam's gonna like lose his shit over that casting.
Huh.
in a good way, obviously in a good way. But
No, I haven't heard that. No, I'm trying to think. Did they say what the villain was?
no, no, they just I know they started. They've been. I think Rob is doing because they've got Rob kind of in limbo with the Batman 2 because they want to do Batman 2. It's supposed to start filming this year, but the script's not quite done yet, and so he's kind of on standby. So he agreed to sign on to Christopher Nolan's new film Odyssey in some kind of role, which I think is going to be great. And then he was cast as some kind of villain in Dune 3. So
That's very interesting because, and I don't know this for sure, but Dune Messiah, which
hmm
is the new one, they changed the cinematographer. Denis Villeneuve has had Greg Fraser for Dune 1 and Dune Part 2. Greg Fraser shot the Batman with Matt Reeves.
that's a beautiful movie too. The cinematography in that movie is
Yeah, Greg Fraser's fantastic. So I uh, I picked this as my own assumption. The reason Greg did not go do Dune Messiah was because he was going to be doing Batman with Matt, and there had to have been like a scheduling conflict. But if Robert Pattinson is in Batman as a main role and as in Dune as a main role, they can't be shooting at the same time. So then, did Greg miss out on Dune Messiah? And that, if so, I don't know. Or maybe it was just a change, and Denis was like, "We need a change. We need a change." I don't, but I just don't know that that is the case.
I don't know. They delayed the Batman. They delayed it because it's supposed to come out like a month ago. Like when it was first announced, it's supposed to come out a month ago, and they just delayed it. I think till 2027 now. And I think so. Maybe he just I don't know how the whole cinematography thing works. If you like if you sign into something but it gets delayed for a year, can you take other jobs, or if somebody's already signed on a cinematographer, can you take on? Can you come back on, or what the contract situation looks like?
I don't
Just
know. I don't know.
because sometimes it just seems like people get just really unlucky with like the schedule changes and the SAG and stuff like this, where um, what's his Henry Cavill, he was really into his role as The Witcher on Netflix, right?
Right.
And so but he gets offered to come back on as Superman at the end of Black Adam to come back and be the this DC Superman full time and all this different stuff. And so he quits The Witcher. They sign on somebody else. He goes to be Superman, does a cameo for Black Adam, and then DC gets taken over by James Gunn, and James Gunn's like, "We're gonna recast Superman." So you lose out on one role that you loved, Superman, and another role that you were loving as The Witcher, and now you're just like, I guess I'll go do Warhammer now because I just got unlucky.
Yeah, that sucks. That
Yeah, so
sucks.
sometimes I think Hollywood just I don't know if it affected as much like cinematographers and some of those delays, but maybe the guy just got
Yeah,
unlucky.
it totally. I mean, it definitely plays a role, but and like it's there's a world where it could go back. It's probably not.
Yeah.
And Linus Sandgren is the new cinematographer for Dune Messiah, and Linus did most recently Babylon. He did Don't Look Up. He did No Time to Die, 007, um, First Man, La La Land. Like uh, an extremely talented cinematographer, well versed, but very, very different. Very, very different than any cinematographer I think Denis Villeneuve has worked with, and especially on something like Dune. So I'm really curious on how this is going to be. And Linus is a film guy. He likes to shoot on film.
Mm.
So I'm curious on if this is going to be shot on film or if this is going to be shot digitally. I don't know.
Have you seen the episode of the studio about film shooting on film?
Um, I want to say maybe.
Yeah, it's funny. They shoot on film. All the theaters are pissed because it's shot on film.
Oh,
They
then
lose
no,
the
I
film.
haven't seen. I haven't, I haven't seen this one yet.
Yeah.
I think I'm 3 or 4 episodes. The last episode I saw was with Zac Efron and the
Oh
rap party
yeah.
and
Oh,
the
the rap
missing
party.
reel, the
Yeah.
missing reel with
Yeah, yeah.
Olivia Wilde.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
man,
god, that's a good one.
dude. Well, and not to change topics, the studio also incredible. I need to finish it, but I just went to a panel. I went to a couple panels. I went to a panel with Jessica Lee Gagne,
Hmm.
I believe is her name, how she's pronounced. She saw Severance, and then I went to a panel with the camera crew that shot the studio, and we watched a lot of behind the scenes of how they shot the studio in next to like the shots that they ended up using. Anyways, incredible uh, camera crew. Like the operator Alex, the dude is an ox. He
Hmm.
is a monster, and like just walking through a door, his shoulders are probably hitting both sides, and then to see him with a backpack on, a cine saddle, which is just like a cushion pouch that you put a camera on, and then a fully built out camera that he's holding, and he is moving in space and time in these small spaces, getting these shots, and the way he's moving. That dude, that
Hmm.
dude is a camera operator.
Cool.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then the key grip and all the things that he was doing to build and support. His name is Thrasher. Anyways, like studios, the studio is a real achievement in filmmaking. Truly, it is. Some people might look at it and go, "It's gimmicky." They fucking killed it.
No, I think it's gimmicky in the best way too. Like, how often do you actually see Hollywood like point fingers at itself and be like, "We're kind of messed up here." Like, why? There's like the season finale of the studio. Like, I won't spoil it
Yeah,
100%
yeah,
for
yeah. I
you,
don't want to know.
but um, they have a party. They do a lot of drugs, and it starts to affect their presentation the next day, where they're announcing new projects. And I was like, "Well, I bet that happens way
Oh,
more
for
often than they
sure.
like to admit." And like the whole thing, like for me, it taught me a lot. Where it's like, oh, anytime a movie gets made is a miracle, even if it's total garbage. And if it's good, like those people deserve give them all the awards, let them have their banquets, because after watching the studio and having people that work inside the Hollywood scene be like, oh yeah, that's more accurate than you like to admit. And then actually seeing like a decent film like Ballerina on the screen, you're like, this is a miracle.
So this is actually a great example. So episode 2 or 3, the oneer, whatever,
Yeah.
when they're trying to get the shot in the house, right? And they just want him to leave
Hmm.
and not stop asking questions. And like the director is trying to direct, like that is like my job as a cinematographer all day long.
Is to tell them to get out,
No,
or
is I am getting constantly bombarded
oh, okay, with requests.
with requests.
Okay.
Constantly. Like that, like every person that he interrupts, if you combine them into one and they became the cinematographer, like that's the job.
Yeah.
And you're just like, can you please ask me this at a different time? Or can you please wait until this person's done asking this question? Or can you please just not ask a question right now if it's not
Yeah.
needed? Anyways, everyone's just trying to do their job.
Yeah.
But that's a great example of like the madness of my day on set. I am managing all of that.
Hmm. The one episode, and you'll see this like the episode of the studio, but they're casting this movie, and they're trying to like check all of like the boxes where no one gets offended. Like, if we cast a black guy to play the Kool-Aid Man, is that offensive, or is it offensive if we don't do it? And basically, they go through so many like changes in what the original plan was. It's like a bastardized version of what they originally intended to do. And to make up for the cost, they have AI write the script, which was the most controversial thing that they did in that whole like resetting of what they were doing. And I was like, I need to ask Sam about that.
I
Just
haven't seen
like,
that episode, but that makes a lot of sense.
because I've seen movies on Netflix this year where I'm like, oh, that was definitely made by AI because it's just nothing. It's just a whole lot of nothing.
Well, it's all made by a committee.
Mhm.
I was just meeting with someone in LA. I don't say who it was or what they've done, but they've done a lot of stuff. They've worked on a lot of shows, uh, like big shows, and they said something that just made so much sense to me. But he's like, a lot of times they're just shooting plates of people, and then they're delivering their lines, but they don't even know who they're talking to. Like they will then put in this superhero and then stitch that with VFX to have the conversation together. Or they'll shoot it and go, no, we don't want them to have that conversation with that character. Let's have them have it with this character. So then they just digitally remove that character and then shoot a scene with the other character as if they're talking to that person, and then they put it in. And it's just all done by committee. Like it's everything is made by committee, and they vote and they talk, oh no, let's do this after the fact. So when when I watch movies, especially the superhero movies, and I'm going, this feels so disconnected, or this scene feels so disconnected, I go, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Because it's none of it was actually done in the same room at the same time.
That's 100% the problem with Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of Stitch characters, and you're like, are they really talking to each other?
Yep.
Was filmed 8 months after this movie was already filmed.
Yep. So, anyways, anyways,
So Ballerina, in the end, would you
watch it.
watch it, stream it, skip it?
Watch it. Go watch it. Go to the theater. Like, go to the theater.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch.
Yep. It's not. I don't think it's a movie that's going to change your world. It's not going to do anything like that. But man, it's such a, especially now, like the world has, since we've been doing this podcast, like the world has been getting progressively worse. This movie is a good escape for 2 hours.
And also, I don't know why it has taken me long to bring this up. Ana de Armas.
Oh man, she's great.
Come on, man. Like, not only is she beautiful, she's a fantastic actress.
Yep.
Like, really good.
Yep.
Her range is incredible. And, like, she just fit perfectly into this John Wick universe where just, more or less one liners, kind of just short conversation. But even her stunt work that she did, and I'm sure she had uh, stunt folks that stepped in and did things, right? But I think she also did a lot of it as much as she could, like on her own, and she did like training and courses. Anyways, phenomenal, and she looks incredible.
Yep.
Like,
I want a second one. I want Ballerina 2. I'd go see it.
yeah. So, way to go, Anna.
Cool, man. Well, anything else you want to say about Ballerina?
Go see it before it's out of theaters.
Yep.
It's pretty great. Pretty great.
And the thing is, like, one thing that you can appreciate about, I think people should go see it because the John Wick franchise, from what I've heard, never will give you crap. They will always if they're going to ask you for your money to go to the theater and watch it, it's because they're going to give you something good in return. And I think that's worth supporting.
Yeah. And, like, I mean, I still like all of the other John Wicks better, but I still had so much fun. So, go check it out, y'all.
Go check it out. All right, Sam, want to bring us home?
Well, make sure you tell someone that you love them before they get ballerinaed.
The back goes out. Nice.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah?
I got to tell you a story. We'll get into the podcast here. We can take a little break. Where does the hiya come from? Because I saw it in a TV show recently, and like it had me busting a gut.
Press your little
The red button.